Hi everyone, this is Peter Yang with the powered up run-through of City Ransom. This is meant to be viewed after my other video walkthrough. My commentary here will focus on filling in missing details that I didn't talk about in the other video. With this password, my stats are maxed out. I'm choosing to play on the advanced level, and my inventory has Dragon Feet, Stone Hands, Acro Circus, Grand Slam, and 4 Karma Jolts. I also have $999.99. Back in the day, I earned this password by painstakingly powering up with consumed items and beating the twins many times. It wasn't until after I made this video that I discovered a City Ransom password generator and decoder created by Jerry McMahon Jr. Aside from saving you time, it allows you to do things not possible in the regular game, such as starting out without any defeated bosses while having techniques from the latter part of the game. The link for a site should be listed wherever you're viewing this video from. Even though it isn't necessary, I'm going to play through this game in the same order as if I had not defeated these bosses, and I'm going to fight all bosses. On the advanced difficulty setting, there are a few notable differences. All enemies are stronger and faster. It seems like everybody has more willpower as well, but this mainly makes a difference when fighting the better gangs, which are the Internationals, Cowboys, and the Plague. When fighting them, you will need to knock them to the ground and let them expend some of their willpower before being able to defeat them. Fighting with a powered up character is really fun since you have so many options. Stone Hands and Dragon Feet do the same amount of damage, although curiously when I tested it out, 3 individual punches were slightly weaker than 3 individual kicks. The amount of damage that Acro Circus does is related to your character's agility, and with the powered up character it does about as much damage as Stone Hands or Dragon Feet. Acro Circus is very useful when fighting against better opponents since you're indestructible in the air, and it is rarely blocked. Grand Slam with maxed out weapon and throwing make any weapon dangerous in your hands. That being said, the large weapons like crates, trash cans, and tires do the most damage with Grand Slam. With Grand Slam, smaller weapons like brass knuckles and sticks do the same amount of damage as 3 single hits. Crates, trash cans, and tires do more damage with Grand Slam compared to 3 single shots, and all 3 items do the same amount of damage with Grand Slam. However, the 3 items do different amounts of damage without Grand Slam. In order from weakest to strongest, we have the tire, the trash can, then the crate. Tires actually do less damage with single shots than sticks or even brass knuckles. Interestingly, the chain does more damage with 3 single hits than with 1 Grand Slam shot, doing as much damage as single crate hits. It's not clear if these disparities were intentional or accidental. Notice how much faster you run with maxed out agility. Be careful when carrying a weapon, since if you run off the screen too quickly, you'll lose your weapon. The mechanism by which this happens is probably the same one that makes items thrown off the screen bounce back. Here's a quick explanation of max power gains. Items that give you stamina also can add to your max power. The potential max power gain will always be 1/4 of the potential stamina gain rounded down. The max power increase depends on how close you are to being at full energy. The amount of max power gained is equal to the unused stamina gain divided by 4 rounded down. If there is no unused stamina gain, that is, you are not at full power, there will be no max power gain. For example, if your max power was 63, your stamina was 25, and you drank a Karma Jolt, you would gain 38 stamina. A Karma Jolt offers 99 stamina, so there would be an unused stamina gain of 61. 61 divided by 4 is 15.25, and after rounding down that means you would gain 15 max power. If for some strange reason you prefer to gain stats yourself instead of using the password generator, here's where I prefer to bulk up every stat. It's generally pretty painful to build up your stats since most items just give you small increases. For your punch skill, the easiest would be to get a couple gold medals at Merlin's Mystery Shop. However, if you have time and want to save money, you can go to Amy's Sweet Tooth in Flatiron's Mall and get rock candy for 95 cents. Each piece gives you +1 punch and willpower. Rock CDs at CD Cellar in Flatiron's Mall cost $9.95 and give you +4 punch and up to 48 stamina. Oatmeal cookies at Kate's Cookies in the Oak Hill Mall cost $1 and give you +1 punch and +6 stamina. For kick, most people just get shoes like Texas boots, but those take up an inventory slot. Your best cheap choice would be 95-cent fudge bars at Amy's Sweet Tooth, which give you +1 kick and willpower. For weapon, Excalibur at Merlin's Mystery Shop would give you +30. Besides that, Jawbreakers at Amy's Sweet Tooth and Brownies at Kate's Cookies both give you +1. For throw, Karma Jolts give you +3, but you could quickly build it up with Isis Scrolls at Merlin's Mystery Shop. $20 gets you +20 throwing. Zeus's Wand at the Mystery Shop also gives you +48 throw. Agility is again something that most people would boost with shoes, but a $5.95 ribeye at the Butcher Shop in Flatiron's Mall gives you +4 agility and +1 punch. A $9.95 Soul CD at CD Cellar gives you +4 agility and up to 48 stamina. You can get +30 defense with Rodent Wing at Merlin's Mystery Shop. Otherwise, you could get a $9.95 Pop CD at CD Cellar, which gives +4 defense and up to 48 stamina. Strength helps to determine how easily you can hold on to enemies that you grab. To boost it, Zeus's wand at the mystery shop gives plus 48. The Techno Bell and Teddy Bear and Toys Galore and Flatiron's Mall give plus 18 and plus 20 strength for $27.25 and $28 respectively. Mint Gum at Amy's Sweet Tooth and Maple Pecans at Kate's Cookies both give plus 1 strength. For willpower, the sauna at Pop's Health Club is a great value at 15 points for $3.50. Most things boost stamina and max power, but quick affordable boosts can be obtained with Karma Jolts, Love Potions, and Saunas. The seemingly arbitrary numerical limits for skills and energy are a result of how that data is stored in the passwords. With the password generator, you can actually get a character that is something like 0 weapon power. Enemies would still get hit but take very little damage. They do eventually get defeated, so 0 skill doesn't equal 0 damage. If you wanted to have a greater challenge while still having fun with your skills, you could generate a weak character that had all the skills you liked and start the game with no bosses defeated. The game sometimes doesn't like abnormal passwords and defaults to base statistics, so you sometimes need to experiment around to get the actual values you want, such as by assigning different low values to punch, kick, and weapon. Even though it doesn't do as much damage with Grand Slam as the large weapons, the chain is also a good weapon choice since it can make contact on a slightly lower level. This means I can hit enemies a little sooner as they're getting up in addition to ones that are standing slightly below you. Notice how these guys in the plague now need to be knocked down twice to defeat them since we're in advanced mode. If I kept hitting them while they were down, they would stick around until I let them stand up to exhaust some of their willpower. Something that you can use to your advantage in one-player mode is the ability to swap passwords on the fly. If, for example, you're about to fall into a pit and lose a lot of money, you can swap passwords before you die so that the other character loses half of his money, not your main one. After you reappear in the mall, you can swap passwords back to your main character. Also, if you're getting beaten up, you might have a better chance of running away if you swap passwords to a character with more energy. And of course, if you have the patience, you can input a password for your character at any time to restore energy or items. This game is most fun played with 2 players though, and doing so really opens up some other strategies. With 2 players, you can easily do moves where one player is carrying a tire, the second player jumps on top of that tire, and the tire is thrown with the second player rolling on top of it. The second player can be used as a weapon just like enemies and can be thrown into an acro circus by his teammate. And with 2-player play, there's always the chance that teammates will hit each other by mistake, and a violent free-for-all will break out. Again, you see me beating bosses that I don't need to beat. If you wanted to do the most minimalist run, here are the people you'd need to beat. Rocco, Blade, Turk, Mojo, Thor, Ivan, Otis, the twins Randy and Andy, and Simon. If you didn't care about money, you could also jump into a pit after beating Rocco to speed up your backtracking. You also don't have to rescue Cindy in River City High. A reasonable handicap against the twins would be to fight them solo without weapons. Doing so would force you to be a little more creative, such as by doing acro circuses off the wall, throwing one out of the way to fight the other, or using one as a weapon against the other. In terms of the order in which to get techniques, I think that Dragon Feet is the best one to get first, because as I mentioned in the other video, kicking has greater range than punching and you can hit lower enemies. Grand Slam is the best technique in the game and should be obtained when you get to Oak Hill Bookstore. Then, it's a toss-up between Stone Hands and Acro Circus. Although Acro Circus is weak unless you have high agility, it at least offers a more unique skill compared to Stone Hands, and you're still invincible while in the air despite doing little damage if your agility isn't high. As I mentioned in the other video, I don't think Fatal Steps and Javelin Man are worth the inventory slots they would take up. I didn't mention in the other video that another easy way to beat Simon is to lure him so that he's standing right below the grey wall. The wall is just low enough so that if Simon was standing right under it, you can freely hit him with Dragon Feet while you're standing on the wall. Okay, that does it for this powered up run-through of River City Ransom. I hope this was helpful and informative. If you haven't done so already, I recommend viewing the full video walkthrough for more info about the game. Take care everybody!